Director of Granby System Wrestling and producer of the Granby System videos. This is tape 8. That is Top Work Volume 2, The Cradle. And in this tape we're going to teach you a cradle and show the details of how to use the cradle, how to make it work, and how to actually teach you ways to get it that you may not have thought of before, and also a way to pin and use the cradle as a pinning hold and making what I think is one of the greatest holds in all of wrestling. We've got some great ideas. I've got some people here to help me show it. And let me introduce them right now, and we'll get started on showing you the basic mechanics of the beginning of the cradle. With me are Jeff Hawkins, who is one of our coaches here at Kempsville High School. He was a state champion at Kempsville, and he's a cradle expert. Along with him and his partner is Brad Ginn, who is a high school All-American at Kempsville, is now wrestling in Appalachian State, and he'll be working with Jeff. Right beside him is Brian Miller, who's a state champion at Kempsville, now wrestles at George Mason, starts at 118 pounds for them. And working with him will be John Voigt, one of our varsity wrestlers at Kempsville, who's also my nephew. And they're all experts on this technique and these techniques. And they'll be in and out doing the demonstrating throughout the various sequences. In addition to that, we'll have a number of edits in where we'll show the holds actually being worked in real live matches that will complement what we're showing with actual live footage from a match. Some of these guys will actually be in it themselves. So let me start out with Brian helping me right here at first. Let me show you, first of all, the mechanics of the cradle. what the outside cradle is and maybe there's some different names for it. I think some people would call it the near side cradle and maybe some other names. And the names are material. The point is that the cradle that we're going to attack today and talk about is the cradle that's given to you when you're on the near side as you're putting pressure and when the head is down and somewhat toward the knee. The criteria for cradle are basically the same for any cradle, and that is that the head is down or bent in somewhat toward the knee, giving you an opportunity to lock your hands around the knee and the head, and then, of course, have what's called a cradle, which we call the outside cradle. Now, if it was so simple, of course, it would be a powerful weapon that everyone would have, but there are some criteria to it, and there are some mechanics of it that make it critically important. They are critically important to making the hold work, and I think if you really pay attention to the first several minutes of this tape, I'm going to talk a lot about the importance of tightness and mechanics of it, which makes all the other more advanced techniques work and will turn you, and if you're a coach, it may turn your team into a real cradle team. And some of those mechanics are this. When I'm getting the cradle, let me turn you around this way just a second. The key thing about the strength of the leg is it's weak at the knee. And so I want to cradle at the knee, and I want to have what we always call elbow deep at the knee, where my elbow is deep at his knee, so I'm controlling him here. The other ingredient about this knee is that I'm going to pinch and clamp it very tight the whole time I'm doing it, so I have it tight. And then, of course, I'm going to control his head, and the same basic idea of clamping it tight is going to be part of that also. And as I cradle, I want to make it clear, and I'll get the boys to demonstrate it, that you're cradling the head, you're not cradling the back or the shoulder. You're cradling on the man's head, and you're clamping on the man's head. I probably got some noise when I did that, but anyway, you're cradling that head and we're cradling it tight. Let's turn around this way just a little bit so you can see as I cradle that position in here, it's tight. Now, one of the things about the cradle that we're going to try to emphasize in the early going is trapping and controlling this knee and not that thigh. If I cradle him here and he straightens his leg out, he's very strong and it's very tough to handle. But if I have him at the knee and he straightens out, it's very difficult for him to do it because now I have that knee clamped and it's hard for him to do. So come in here, Jeff, if you would, with Brad. And let me have these guys demonstrate just a little bit on it. So when turn a little sideways in here. When he's going to cradle, go ahead and just sit into a cradle and let me show the example of it. Now, he's now cradling on the head, and as you see, the head is out in here. When you're cradling, you want the head in your lat muscles, in your armpit, and you want to pinch and clamp it in tight. If you scoot around that way, Jeff will show the back. Part two. And of course you want elbow deep, knee, trapping his knee and pinching your elbow in tight against his leg. Of course that's a perfect position. Now, often when you cradle, you're going to have a lean where you're sitting a little bit to your side, sometimes sitting on your foot, but rarely ever sitting on your butt. Sit on your butt. Rarely down here because there's some danger, of course, in doing that. And as you do that, what you're going to be doing, if you release just a little, Jeff is going to keep his chest real tight against his shoulder to try to prevent arms coming out and problems that can be created when you do that. So the sort of perfect master position of the cradle is elbow deep, head tight and clamping, not over the back, and your chest tight, trapping his shoulder. Now some of the problems that can occur when you don't do this, or as you're teaching it or learning it, is this. Let go of that cradle, Jeff, and then you just spread out just a little bit back. If Jeff tries to cradle at the thigh, then he's going to straighten his leg out. You're going to have great difficulty. If Jeff tries to get the cradle and lock it, and he gets up over the back, in here, even if he does get it locked, he's over the back so much that now he can straighten out and defeat the cradle by breaking it in that way. So the idea of trying to cradle him not over the back but down on that shoulder can produce a little bit of a feeling of danger in there in the beginning working with the cradle, because there is some potential for falling off and losing trouble. Just go back, loose. Your cradle's locked up, but you fall back loose. Don't go down with all that and create some problems, you say. So let me show what I mean in that. When you're cradling If you get too loose down in here, you're going to have lots of problems. If you get too high over the back, you're going to have lots of problems. So the master spot, the place that you want to go to, it's really got to be drilled. And the reason I'm making this point is we're going to show you some drills right now that do that. And it's critical that you drill an awful lot on getting the cradle. Maybe that wasn't something that most people think they do on it, but it is important. And I'm going to show you some drills in just a second how to do it. And so the cradle has got to be, probably get the heads out there a little bit, and you put that head in tight and control it. Okay, now, when you start the cradle, let me have, if John would come out here and help me for 1 second on that. Let's say that we're beginning we're going to teach beginners the cradle, or we're going to start doing the cradle from the beginning. This is how I'd recommend you do it. John's going to lay down on his side and pretty basically just give me what I want to the drill. Now, my feeling on the cradle is that if I can teach my wrestler to master controlling that knee, then I can teach him to be really good at getting the cradle. So this drill does that, and this is where I would start all people on the cradle. And that is to have this man passively just allow me to lift his knee up. With a lock grip is fine. It doesn't have to be. It could just be with the hand. Is to pick it up and then get it deep right in here tight. And as I do that, you'll see the clamp and the squeeze, and even the fist in here won't tight right in there. And so I would probably say do 5 or 6 of these drills, and notice as I'm shifting where I'm going to be going to get that cradle. So I would drill here and then cradle. You can let John maybe stiffen out just a little bit against it. Pick the knee up and cradle. So I'm sitting on him, but he's giving it to me. I'm making a little drill out of that. Watch these guys hop in here. Brian, you want to hop right in here? And watch him just do some quick real, Coach Hawkins do it right here, and actually go for the cradle. Let's just snatch it up and cradle. Do it all in one. Snatch it up and see, make a drill out of it right there. Over here, Brian. Snatch it up and cradle. Now, watch Brian a second. The second part of that drill would be, now he gets on his knees. And Brian is still on his knees, just right beside him. Now he's going to lift that leg up and trap it tight, and then turn his side and cradle without flipping him or going to his back. It's just going to be a cradle drill. Go again and do that. Just snatch the leg out and cradle. Snatch the leg out and cradle. Snatch the leg out and cradle. And so, okay, that's good. So what you have started, and the beauty of that drill is you can't cradle like that. Let me use Coach Hawkins to demonstrate it. If I just try to cradle like this that much at the beginning, I won't really develop the feel that I think you should develop, and that is of taking that knee to the head. So don't be so quick to lock as you are to take the knee up, head, then lock. We'll talk more about that as we go, okay? Now, oftentimes, the cradle is going to be a gift. It's going to be a catch-hold. And by that I mean that the man, and I'll get down here on the mat and say, the man is going to be, in the course of his wrestling, spinning or turning in some way, grabbing your leg, trying to stand up, or a variety of different things that I'm going to show you. And for that reason and purpose, I'd say that's a catch-hold. The man's giving it to you. And so they have a series of drills here that will allow you to get the feel for the catch of the cradle. Now later on we'll show you how to force it and make things work, where you make the cradle work by doing creative things. But let me have Coach Hawkins come in here, and let's see, Brian, you guys get set right there too, and I'll call on both of you to do it. But first over here, when the simple spinning drill that most of you know is spinning, just do a little spinning, Coach, without a cradle. Spin and go all the way around them. Now, see, in spinning drills that you teach people, you tend to teach them to go all the way around the head. But for what we're going to do, we're not. But this is going to be one of those drills where you get the feel of lightning quick going for a cradle that a man gives you. And that's this. He's going to step his foot up over here and kind of feed him a nice little cradle position. Jeff's going to spin on that back and land in a cradle such that he's on the head tight. This man's giving him pretty good holding up resistance, and you can't see it from where you are. So let me turn him around. He's landed elbow deep and tight at that knee. He's sitting a little bit on his foot, and he's real tight feeling in here. No looseness, no flopping. Okay, that's where he's going to land. Now, actually, go ahead and set back down. He's going to do that. He's going to keep doing that back and forth in a little drill. He's going to feed him a leg. He jumps to it. He's kind of looking like a cat up here. Where's that knee? He gets it. One leg, then the other. He gets it. Now, stop. As the coach, I'm looking for certain things. I'm looking for the quickness of which he gets there, but more importantly for the positioning. I don't want him to go ahead and do one and land too high over the back. I'm going to watch for him. You see how he hit here first? Well, this man, of course, won't let him cradle then. Come back again. So I'm looking for the time where, give us that knee, Brad, where he lands perfectly right off the tip of that shoulder and right on the head. Boom. So then he's really got an effective hold. And that's important. So as you're looking for that kind of thing, you want to do it. Now, what will happen when you do this, of course, is you'll have guys that first put that knee up, and the first thing they're going to miss the head and flop down and slide on it. They may even do something like this. He won't do it. He's an expert, but it's going to happen. Don't worry about it. Just keep coming back to the key points of how you land tight and clamp it. And during the course of my practice, I would say we do the cradle drill. It won't take a minute for each guy to get 6, 8, 10, 12 cradles. So that's one type of catch drill. Another is, let me have these guys down here on this too, is ankle cradle. And I'll just show it once, then I'll get them on it. If I'm riding John's ankle, and I ride this ankle, and I start pushing up hard like this, it invites him to bring that foot up. And so a drill would be to drive forward pressure, then release and cradle from the ankle. It's a terrific drill, and it actually, of course, is a way to get the cradle. Now, it also could be that he puts this foot up and puts the knee out here, and of course, I can make it to there. And so we'll drill 3 or 4 different ways to get to the cradle. So he's got an ankle right here, and he's going to put some back, coming back behind him just a little bit more and come up high over top of him. Some forward pressure, the knee comes up, slip, cradle. Come back to the ankle. He's on the ankle riding, knee comes up, slip, cradle. Back to the same ankle, other knee comes up, slip, cradle. Stop. Again, the points are the same. Once the master position of the cradle is learned, it's always the same. On the head, elbow deep, not across the back, clamp, leaning slightly tight until you can't quite tell, but they're just tight as they can be when they do it. Right in here. Okay? So you could be, of course, that blends into all sorts of things. I'm on this ankle too. You'd have to do it for the other ankle. And come across, give me that knee right there, come across for the cradle. Or I'm on this ankle, forward pressure, he brings it up, limp arm kind of out, boom, cradle. It's a terrific way to do it. And so, in effect, it's the same kind of thing that I just showed you on the spinning. It's a quick jump reaction to the cradle that's given you. Now, another type of cradle that is given to you would be when you're applying some pressure. Watch these 2 guys right here. Brad, take the bottom. You remember in tape 7, just relax a second, in tape 7 I showed you a pressure ride we called the Radman ride. And go ahead and just break him down one time, just so I'm down in here and getting the wrist and all the things you can do there. Come back again. In fact, Dad was in there doing a lot of that stuff on that tape. Everybody certainly doesn't go down. And so a lot of them will pivot to stand up and give you an opportunity to cradle. So this is called the pressure cradle drill. Top man applies some pressure. And as he does, this man pivots that knee up, and in effect is given. He's going to give this to you, and he even may lean a little this way. Or if he doesn't, Jeff is going to turn him this way a little, and then sit to the cradle, and come back again. Let's say, so just make a little drill out of it where you cradle, Rad feeds it to you, stop again. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do it one more time. Let me show. Pressure, cradle, go ahead, stop. Again, the ingredients of tightness on the head, not across the back, elbow deep. Come back again. Watch these guys over here doing it. You be ready to. So it's a little drill that you would do. I'd say, John, give him 6 in a row. We may only do 3 here on the tape, but say, that's what I would be telling my team. Go. Pressure, cradle. Come back again. Get to the head a little quicker. Go ahead. This is just how I'd be. That's it. Good. Come back. Pressure, cradle. Now you got to understand, and then freeze. That's good. Come on out there. He's not going to really sit there in a real match, of course. He's going to do the things I'm going to show you later about how to pin and flip and get them. But to get people cradle crazy, this is how to do it. And over the years of teaching wrestling and teaching it at our camps, at the Granby system camps and things, the cradle has been one of our best things that we've heard back from the coaches and the results that they get from it. But without starting out simple like this and knowing how to get it correctly each time you do it, it's very difficult to later do the things that I'm going to show you on these next sequences as we come to them. Now, let me me show you something on the pressure cradle drill that I showed earlier that may be a problem. I want to solve it for you right now and show you what to do. When you have people that get up on all fours as you're putting some pressure, this is a little bit more difficult to handle because they're spreading out like that. Spread your feet some, Brad, in here, and it's hard to get them. So what you've got to do on this, you've got to get this knee down to the mat. So as you swing him around, go ahead and put pressure. His knee hits, then you clamp to the cradle. Now come back again. Now, a lot of people don't do that. Go ahead and show that again. And they go for the cradle right here. Go ahead and just go for the cradle. And it's not there. The head is not near the knee, which is the criteria for the cradle. And there's no good position for doing it. Come on out of that. And so, probably, just relax a second, Dad. Probably, I hear a lot of coaches yell, "There's the cradle," and a lot of boys say, "Look, there's the cradle." But really, there isn't a cradle. There, come back again. All right, brace up. There isn't a cradle because this leg is going to foul it up. You've got to pull him around. Sometimes he'll stay up 4 or 5 seconds, and you really swing him hard and bring him, the knee down, cradle. And so, come on back again. So you want to make sure when you're pressuring that that's part of the thing, because if you try to cradle people when they're not open, you've got lots of problems. And I'll show you some things to do about that later in the tape. Okay, now, as far as catch the cradle, that is, the guy gives it to you, those are some of the good drills. Now, there's some ways to make the cradle work for you, and we're going to talk about some of those right now. The first thing, let me have Brian help me with this if you come out, and then you guys stay ready to demonstrate it. A limp arm cradle is something that has to be part of a good cradle man's thing. And the conditions for that would be, in some way or form, Brian is reaching back in here to grab my leg and do something. And I'll show you ways to set it up. But the basic premise of the limp arm, and let me get around, it's going to be an awkward thing to show, but let me show you a little bit right here. Go ahead, hang on to that leg. Is that you limp one arm out because that head is there, you want to get to the cradle. But again, the same basic criteria happen, and this is what happens with my wrestlers. It will happen with you also, and that is when they limp out, they forget about and don't control the knee in the same way that I've already been teaching you about. And this is the difference between an advanced cradle guy, and that is when you limp arm out, you lift that knee up so it's up and tight. In fact, if you can get around in this direction, you can see it even better. When I'm fighting in here and I limp arm out, I lift it up, then whoop, there's that cradle tight, and I can take him and flip him, which we'll show about later. So the idea of limp arm is my hand was in here, maybe in a switch or a double or different things, and as I see that cradle, see there's conditions for the cradle, I just got to get out of the way to do it. Limp, lift the knee tight, and cradle. All right, now watch these guys. You guys come out here together. One of the places to do it, and you guys can go ahead and be ready to, is to do it when the man is attempting to switch you, and you're coming back. Now, I wanted you to just walk around a little bit this way so they can see it from behind. He's starting to switch Jeff, and Jeff, well, let's go back again. He ain't going to get anywhere near that far. You're way on cross. Good, way on cross in here. He's into this position, and he's trying to switch and grab the leg. That's the time to lift the knee high, limp arm out, and cradle. All right, make a little snappy thing in there, just right in there. You reach for the switch, lift the knee, cradle. Come back again. It happens very quickly. That arm just limps out of there, slick. It just pops straight up and out. Limp. But the key thing that everyone won't get, come back again. And I turn them this way. I want you to see. Go ahead. Get ready. You don't have the knee good. Is the knee being, all right, go ahead and set your little switch. Go back again. You see, the knee may be up. It'll certainly probably be up, but it's not a cradle yet. He's got to snatch it up. Go ahead, snatch it up as he limps. As you limp, okay? So, if he switches you, you can get it. Or, watch these guys here. It can be workable. Come right over here in this spot. If John, go ahead, John, switch him. If John is switching and coming up, fighting up to his knees, stop right here. Now John is in position to do the cradle on him from the switch. Snatch that knee up high, limp arm, and cradle. All right, let's start that again from this way. John, face that way. Face that way, and you switch. Come across on the switch. He's coming up. Now stop right there a second. So you're still sitting right here. As he comes up, you're sitting on your butt more, you switch. As he comes up, he's going to put a lot of back pressure on Brian. Go ahead. And he's going to start pulling that knee up. Go ahead. Come on up. Start coming on up. Pulling that knee up right there, and then in and cradle. Go ahead and try that one more time. Face this way. As you're switching, go ahead, get ready, Jeff. Here, come up, pull, limp arm, cradle. Now when you do that, that's good. When you do that, watch Coach Hawkins give a little demonstration. Face this other way so they can see what we're going to show. All right, as he starts his switch, go ahead and switch. We're going slow. Now, you're staying up and coming up with him. This man has the potential to re-switch, and he's going to crawl forward in order to do that and try to outmaneuver him. In fact, let him do it. Let him do it. Just come to your knees. Come to your knees, Coach. And he sits sure going to it, and he's got you. He's back on top, and he's defeated it. So there's a position in here that you have to battle, and here's how you do it. Go ahead and put your switch. When this man starts to move, let's go slow, this way, you're going to come up on your knee, and you're probably going to have to walk hard, and walk, and walk, and walk, and walk, and then limp and cradle. And you have to be prepared to do that, because he's going to certainly be prepared to go that direction. So watch it one more time. Cradle, switch. He comes up, walking, lift the knee, limp arm, and cradle. That's good. Very terrific thing. And of course, there's so many switches in wrestling that you have to have it. Now, another situation. Jeff is in a double. Maybe he did a high crotch in here, and he's coming around to change to the double. And as he's taking Brad releases and tries to come inside and grab the leg, walk around so they can see that. And he's in here to try to grab the leg. Another situation, lift the leg, limp, and cradle. Very common. Happens all the time. Watch that one more time. You're doubling the man, turning with him. He comes in to switch, limp arm, cradle. And of course, he's ready to flip him, which he really would do, and take him over on his back. That limp arm is a big thing. You'll see some NCAA champion guys and some top wrestlers all across the country that do it. Now, a couple other ways to make the cradles work. The Radman ride. Let me have Brian. The last tape was on the Radman ride. Let me show some things about cradling from this thing. If I have this wrist and I've broken the man down here, but he's staying up and he's fighting up, I can cradle him on this side, or I can cradle him on that side. I'm going to show you right here now a way to trap that foot and possibly hook it. Let me hook it there. Or if you can't hook it, you just block it with your knee and be stiff in there. And come over with that chin and start forcing that knee out and pull that man down to the mat, and then release and cradle. All right, jump in here, John. Get your Radman. Go ahead and you're starting with the wrist already. Now he's got the wrist. He's going to come across to the chin or head and force that knee up and force that head in. All right, let go of that and come back up again. Turn the other way so they can see that back foot. When you're in this Radman, you've got that knee, you're walking it out, and as you do, you're turning his head to you that way. Now you cradle while, what happens is his knee tends to pop right up to you. Go ahead and turn to him some, Brian, a little, and then you slip your cradle to kick your leg off, flip him over, and you're in your cradle. Real good, tough thing. In fact, I once had a wrestler that showed me this from one of my own wrestlers. He started doing it. He was so good at it. He was a 3-time state champion. And he would get this wrist all the time, and he would kneel down on the leg like that, and as he did, he would kneel on it and pull guys around like this. Then he'd get that chin and force the cradle right here. Very good. When you get the chin, it's not a thing where you do this, which is not even appropriate or it's not legal, but you're doing this where you pull that head right down to his knee if you could, and you're driving him forward, pulling that knee out, then you slip to your cradle and come out. Very, very good. Very tough. And good force and stuff. Now watch Coach Hawkins with a couple of other things in here. When you get the Radman, go ahead and change sides, and you get into this position, if you can trap that shoulder down here like you've seen on the tape, on tape 7, then you have an opportunity here for two things. One, the man might start grabbing your leg, which is not uncommon, like that, reaching back in there and grabbing your leg. Then it's going to be a limp arm, kind of lift the knee up here and cradle, and of course he'll be taking him right over. So if it's the same basic thing we were doing with the limp arm. If he starts grabbing your leg, either side, then you're going to jerk that knee up over here and cradle. Come back again. Walk around so you can see this knee. Come around this way. Down. Cradle him, ankle him up. He's sitting in, and go ahead, and he's going to lift that knee up and out. Watch him trap it. See the trap? And then cradle. Now another thing to do right here Very similar. Coach Hawkins is really expert at it. Go ahead and get that wrist. Stay in that same reaction right there. And that is something where, go ahead, knock them down a little bit. You're going to lift that knee and trap it on your own leg by putting your hand, go ahead and show where that hand is. And you put your hand right down against your own leg for a split second and trap it. Then you walk your back up to them and cradle him. And so what happens there, here, let me take Brian. Turn around this way. What happens there when you do it is you've got him trapped right here, and he's being stiff, fighting it stiff, but you get it up and you trap it, keep being stiff, don't get in, and then you walk it on out without even trapping your leg on it, then you can slip to your cradle. Very good and effective, tough way to do it. Okay? So there are ways in their admin to make the cradle work. Now, a couple of other things that are very effective. Ankle riding. If I was to be riding, let me take John, you all stay right where you are. If I were riding John's ankle, often post that leg out, John, post it, and he reaches through the wrist, and his intentions are actually get the wrist to stand up, post into me, go ahead, stand all the way on that, in here, come back again. A lot of people are trained to do that. And so, if I'm on this ankle and he posts it, I'm going to slide down deep with this arm, see that goes deep, and grab that wrist right there. And as I grab it, I twist right against his thumb. Now I have that wrist. I can come on out this side. You can see the pressure I can put on in here. There's my cradle. Good little trick. Maybe won't be your dominating way to get it, but as you ankle ride, here, he posts, come across and grab that wrist, and cradle, come back again. Do it facing over this way. Okay. All right, now you tend to, go ahead, pull that ankle out. Don't go over there yet. When you come over, you tend to be on your knees. As you come over, both knees will sit down right in here, straddling right over here. Reach in deep at the same time. Do that again. The key is getting this arm in deep immediately. Just as you come across, reach in right away. Now, move out where they can see your hand and what you're doing. Then he's going to twist that hand out and force the cradle. Now what happens then sometimes, here's John to show, is when I get his ankle, and let's get this that way, and I get that wrist here, he may go stiff and start straightening it out against me. Go ahead and fight it, son. I may have to come right out in the air like that, jerk it up, force it in. Do that one time, Coach. There's some other things like that we'll be doing soon. So he's ankle riding, wrist control, stands right up with it, forces it out, and from there gets his cradle. Very good stuff, very good. Now, there's one other thing I want to show on that ankle ride that, let me make a couple of things clear. There are, most of the time when you're going for cradles, it's always a safe thing to do. Meaning it's not like holds where you're falling and flopping and getting in trouble. But there are some that are more effective than others. So far, they've all been effective. This one is a little more advanced and complicated, but once you have your wrestlers that are mastering cradles and things, it may be something that you really like to do. And that's this. On that ankle ride, as he posts his foot and his knee comes up, just straighten a bit, as it comes up here, I ride his ankle, and I'm going to jump up and jump across real quickly and grab that knee and snatch it up. Now, as I snatch it up, I'm getting this leg out of the way. There's my cradle. See? So, ankle ride, coach. Ankle ride. Step across quickly. Watch him kick this leg out of the way. Up and cradle. Come back again. Coach Hawkins in particular was very good at this. He trained a lot of people like this. One more time on it. Ankle ride. Jump across. Kick the leg out. Elbow deep and cradle. Now, sometimes when that happens, let me use Brian to help me with this one. Sometimes when you come across to do that, as you step over, the man stands up with you. Oh, wait a minute. Your hands are still on there. But as I get you, no, still, I'll show you when. As I lift him up, he then starts to stand up. As he starts to stand up, I'm going to pull him back, run the pipe, cradle. And so I don't let him up. He wants up, but I won't let him. So as he starts to come up, before he actually does, I've lifted him, he starts to come up, I walk back, stretch him out, keep my running going, elbow deep, boom, cradle. Watch Coach Hawkins. He's demonstrate that for us. So he's up, ankle, slow motion. This man starts to stand up with him. He retreats, drags that leg back down, controls the knee, cradle. Good, okay? Now, they're advanced, but they're very good. And as you teach boys to wrestle, or if you are a young wrestler, you can master those kinds of things as you work into them. Now, a couple of practical ways to do it in addition to that. Let me have both group right here, and your butt dragging right here now. One of the things, cameraman, I'm over here for a second and just give a demonstration at first. As you butt drag people, when you got your arm pit and hand in the butt pulling, and you may have a piece of your leg either here or here, they tend to stay with you. They don't want you to get behind them, so they spin with you and they hold on. When they do that, a lot of guys tend to pivot up and try to hang with you so they don't give up 2 points. When they do that, of course, the cradle is open. If he's on the inside, it's open. If he's on the outside, it's open. Watch these guys right here. They're butt dragging. Now hold still. Hard butt drag pressure. Put his head toward the mat. Keep coming. Keep coming. He comes up. Cradle, and you'll probably flip him right across when you do. Come back again. So that out on the front. This time maybe give him a view of this from this end. He's butt dragging. Now move around just a little bit more, John. He's butt dragging, and as he goes, John's trying to hang on because he's getting ready to spin. And he slips to the cradle, pulls that knee tight. Bobby can go ahead and flip him right there, which we'll talk about later. It's a common occurrence. It happens quite a bit. And so defense from the takedown can turn into offense on the outside cradle. All right, now, so keep your eye out and looking for those kinds of things. Later in the tape, I'll show you a few tricks, single defense tricks that are also ways to get the cradle. Now, number one way to get the cradle, I have a whole tape on it. It's Takedowns, Volume 5 on the front headlock. But I want to show it now, even though it's on that tape. Some of you may not have purchased that tape. I'd recommend you do because it's really a tough way to handle people. So let me just give a little show on it and just show a couple details. You can see more examples of it on the other tape. When you front headlock and stretch that arm out, and you can bury your head and take a run on the side. Stay up a little bit, John, at first, let's say. You have great opportunity to trap this ankle back here, drive the head down, pull the foot to you, and as you take him over, lock up. He's doing it perfectly. The cradle, his head comes out, and he takes him over. I can't tell you how many times our wrestlers have scored like that. Come back again and do that. Let's say from this direction here. And you run from him a little bit. He's going to bury his head, trap the ankle, pull the ankle up to him, and cradle. Now, the people that have come to our camps have said that among a few other holds, this is ranks with about 2 or 3 things that we teach at camp they say is absolute best and helps them the best. They go back and have great success with it. The point, one just brief point on it, I would say if you get good at this, you'll get more cradles from this than any other setup. And that is to bury your head deep as you drive, put a lot of driving pressure, and trap back here toward the ankle so you can pull it to you. You don't want to lift it, but you want to pull it hard to you. Then there's an opportunity for a cradle right there from the front headlock. You'll see some examples of it in this tape that'll show you just what I mean, and you might want to check on tape 5 to see. Now, that brings me kind of right into a ride that we call the cradle ride, which we use from time to time. And there's certain guys that are very good with it and others that aren't. It may be something that's common to you if you've been trying to do cradles. I would say it's not as potent a way to get the cradle, although a lot of people across the country would think it is. I think it's just a way that's sort of okay, but the others are far better. And that's a time where you're riding the ankle and the chin, and you're doing some form of driving with your head and pulling down and making him turn to you and cradling. Some people have a variety of names for it. But let me make a couple of points if you're going to do that, and if you like it, that this is how I recommend you do it. And that is, when you're riding this ankle, to drive and put a lot of forward pressure and make him fight hard on that ankle, not getting up in his butt. And at the same time,
driving forward and up on that head. In fact, he's probably going to even maybe give a call forward to try to keep you from knocking him down. And up in here, then slide out, put that foot down on the mat, step him into and cradle him. If you just hang in here, let me show it from behind. If you just hang in here like this and try to do it, he'll resist it hard. But if you're up driving hard, then keep your knee down, keep your knee down. If you're up driving hard, then you quickly release into it, you may have a chance to make that work. But I would say most people can defense that fairly well. Okay? Good. Now, a couple of other things here at the end that I want to show. One of them is something that's been a potent weapon of ours for a long time. We have a name for it, and we call it the Van Dievner. And the Van Dievner is named after a man named Sherman Van Dievner, who was an old Granby wrestler that was a very good, outstanding wrestler, I think 3-time state champion. But he was so effective on this that it was named after him, and even 30 years or 40 years later, it's still named after him by the Granby guys. And what that amounts to in general is standing cradles or lifting and getting cradles. It's a very effective thing to do. By that I mean in general, and these boys will show it, ways of lifting the leg up and then cradling and making the cradle work. Now, this is a perfect time for me to try to introduce an idea. It's not really an idea, it's the way this top work is. Throughout the Granby system tapes in our camps and the way we coach, we always try to show how things are related. If one thing doesn't work, another does. And that there's a system of wrestling, even though it doesn't have to be, quote, all out methodical. It's just the way the human body works. And that is that if something's not open, something else is. And if you're thinking like that, you can tend to be real successful on getting lots of holds that you otherwise might not get if you're just looking for a single hold. And so this is no different as far as that. Our holds are concerned, this is the same. And that is a combination of a Turk and a cradle. In effect, they're all the same hold, even though they aren't the same hold. Without one, the other is not effective, and vice versa. And so I'm making a Turk tape. There's going to be a Turk tape. It's going to be tape 9. And it's so much information that I have to separate it out and put it on there. But they're not separated as holds. And by that I mean this. If I'm looking for a cradle or thinking it, and I lift up to get John's leg, and his knee bends, and I can make it bend, it's cradle. If I lift it up and it goes stiff and straight, there's no way I can cradle, but of course then the Turk is open. And so the general basic rule of thumb is if the knee can be taken to the head, cradle. Cradle, first priority. If he stiffens up and he doesn't, then you're in for your Turks. And not just on these standing Turks, but in every cradle and every Turk that we're going to do and show you, it's all always the same. And so they're really companion holds. Okay, now, standing stuff. Let's come over here and you guys, let's demonstrate it. The Van Dievner series. Come on out, Brian, too. You slide back that way just a little. I want both of you because everybody just does this so good. All right, then there's 3 basic ways that I'm going to show you to get it. One is, let Brian do it first right here, is he's going to lift him, move out that way. He's going to lift him right in the crotch, lock right in the crotch, and as he lifts him up in the crotch, go ahead, just the crotch, then he shifts elbow deep and starts to turn his back on him. Now, that's the same little shift drill we did down on our knees when we started the tape. All right, let him back. John, face this way this time. And you do the same thing without cradling, just show. Lifts in the crotch, quickly slides to the knee, and turns his back, in effect, locking that knee and hip out. Then he's got his chance right there. The cradle going all the way through. Go ahead, take him all the way fast. Yeah, that's it. One more time on that. Let me make one point with Brian as we make that. When I lift him in the crotch, as I take him up here, up, and lift him, snatch and turn, and that little turn is the deal. You can't go like this and get the cradle, because if you do, he's going to straighten out, and you may lose things. Even if the Turk's there, you still want to try to turn your back as you lift him. So watch him demonstrate that once more. Face this way, John. He snatches it up. Go ahead, jump up with it. Up, cradle, and you've got him. Good. Now, another method for doing the same thing would be to snatch the knee out versus the crotch. This is really better, but it depends on you. He's going to reach and lock at the knee. Go ahead. Snatch the knee sideways, out toward the side, elbow deep. The same thing here. So let me make a point. You see his fist? See him turning it and twisting it up? Now his back is turned tight. Cradle is there. Go ahead. And you've got him. Come back again. So he can snatch the knee out, which is very effective. Right down here, then elbow deep. See that shift? The other way, which may even be the most effective way, is to take your hand on the shoelaces, your right hand on the shoelaces, your left hand down on the knee. And as you stand up, start pulling that ankle out to the side and walking toward his butt. Now you see the knee bend? Go back again. It goes to the cradle. So as you lift it, go slow, coach. As you lift it here and pull it out, go ahead, start pulling it. It makes him turn. Then elbow deep, limp arm sort of effect, cradle, take him all the way. Come back again. So this is very, very good. Don't come with me real easy. See, as I get it up, get him up. See me jerk him, get him up. And I'm pulling hard here, pulling hard there. Hold it for a split second. Cradle, elbow deep. One of the key things is twisting it till it turns to you, then still pulling for a split second. Cradle, boom, right there. Very good. And come back again one more time on that. Face this way just a little bit. Take a good extra deep. Go ahead. Up on it. Cradle. Go. Now, what can happen sometimes when you're trying to cradle, let me use Brian. If I'm trying to do some lifts in here on Brian, of course, there's some things he can do to me. A couple of them actually make the cradle work better. One is he can stick it out a little bit. He can go away from me a little, but not, now if he runs a lot, go ahead and run a lot. I have to come up and run my turkey in, say, because his leg is stiff and straight, say. But sometimes he's just not quite open, and so I take my hand right there and crush it in. And see as I pull it in, he's not quite there. Crush it in, turn, cradle, you can make it work. Very good thing to do. Our guys all drill that. Every time you do this, Van Dievener series, you always drill that. The other thing that happens, is so common, is that a lot of guys in Brian's position think that they can reach in and grab your leg and get themselves out of trouble and get down there and tie you all up and try to knock you back down, go ahead and stuff. And yes, and of course, if you let him do that, he does have you in trouble. But this is what you've wanted in cradle all along. Don't do it yet. I've got him here. I want his head near my knee, or near his knee. So when he reaches back to grab my leg and do anything to be hard, really hard nose, try to stop the cradle. Go ahead, do something. Like that. Oh, there's that arm. Cradling while his leg is caught. Your leg is caught. Don't worry. You cradle him in, and I'll show you what to do. Come over here and grab his leg, John. It doesn't matter. Brian, you're doing it. Stand up and get him. Just go grab that leg. Reach in. Let him have a good pick at it. Go on, reach in and grab it any way you want. Hard. Try to stop him. Go on, cradle him and flip all in one. Stop. The man may even still have your leg. But you flip him over. Now you can come back on top, which we'll talk about in just a minute. If he grabs your leg on the outside, look on. If he grabs your leg over here, same thing. You just sit right on him. See the sit? He'll pull that arm out of there. If he doesn't, he's in trouble, big trouble. So as he starts in there, you're alert. As soon as you start in here and start lifting, he grabs you, hook you right on it. Immediately. And up, of course, with the cradle and pinning them. Okay? So, that's sort of a rundown on the things and series of things that you can do to make cradles work, or force cradles. There's a couple others I'll show right toward the end, but those are the majority of them. They're the ones I consider safe and solid and that we practice and train on pretty much all the time. You're going to see some examples from real matches. We'll come back with how to pin and the pinning combinations after we see some examples of these cradles in action.
Mr. Rigo will please report to the announcement table. Mr. Rigo of Cradle, Jackson.
going.
Contention, so it should be a great freestyle competition. Now locked up in his
That's
cradle.
an inside cradle, as we refer to it here in the States, and he is in trouble. Pinning combination. And that's the back exposure points with that 1-point takedown. That makes it a 3-point lead. If he can hook his opponent's leg, you will see a package here, as it's referred to. Get him in a tight package. There it is. You can see him hooking his opponent's leg with his left leg, and that'll gain the fall. Both athletes have dominated on their feet. And here, Kelber has a cradle on Brands. This could lead to some back points. He needs to turn him over, get that back to the 45-degree angle. And there he has it. Mike, he's going to score here. The referee signaling. He goes in on the leg. He's got to cut off. Scramble. What will happen? Holman looks good here. Holman's going to get the 2 points. And he has Jarrett on his back. He has him in a cradle.
Now, let me show you about pinning in the cradle. We've gone through a number of ways of how to get it and some very effective ways in making the cradle part of, the fabric of top work. This idea of spinning and getting cradles and trapping that leg and limp arm. So all this sort of things give you the cradle, now what to do with it and how to pin them. Let me start out by showing just the simple way or simple example of pin control. Then we'll show you a variety of things that you have to do, because this man is going to be tough in here. He's going to counter, do different things, and we're going to show you some ways that are surefire ways to make this thing work and pin. Okay? Jeff, if you would start here first. Just take him over to his back and have him in a pin. Just all the way. Just settle that knee over. Now, obviously, he's pinned, or he's in this pinning position. But the points I want to make to you are that you have to trap this knee, which is a little hard for you to see right now, but I'm going to pull Jeff off of him. Go ahead, completely off, Coach, and let you see the whole basis and fundamental for pinning that we're going to talk about is this knee being on this side and not over on this side or in this position. And what that's going to do for you as you do other things correct, such as tightness and squeezing and every other thing, is that the knee controls the hip, and as I force Brad's knee over, I also force his hip, which brings the rest of his body. Now that in itself doesn't pin him, but it puts him in a position where my weight and the twist of his head and all of that combination of things then can get the pin. Now, if the knee's over here, or if I can never get the knee over there, I can't get him to his back and I can't make the pin effective. So you're going to see throughout the time, just stay right down there, throughout the whole time that we're talking on and about pinning, the emphasis on everything is going to be how to trap that knee over in this way and make it effective. And if I was starting a person on how to pin on the cradle, I would probably take them where I am right now and make a drill like this where you just start getting the effectiveness of forcing that knee over, and maybe even take it just with your hand and get the feel of where it's going to go so he knows where it's supposed to go when he gets in there. And so what you really have then is Jeff just tight on the head and taking the knee on, forcing the knee on over, and forcing the cradle and settling down so his head acts as a position over here, a balance position, so he can't be carried over or pushed over, and he can settle his weight down on him. The other thing about pinning is the tightness with which you do it. I always talk to my wrestlers about cracking this guy like a coconut and squeezing him so tight that he's cracked in. So another technique would be to practice squeezing that head and pulling it in tight at the same time you're pinning. So I've got his head tight and his knee forced over, and I'm driving all my weight and chest down into him, in here tight, and shifting my hip and pressure into him, and I have his shoulder trapped. And so the basic thing, just stay up just a little bit before we get started, is clamp the head tight, lean your weight into it hard, force the knee across, let your chest, go ahead, head out, let your chest settle down. Eventually, depending on a couple little variables, your weight comes in on him, or come back a little bit, often come back more, way more. Often you're sitting this hip down in too once you get in there, and some other things, and sometimes your knee's up, sometimes it's stretched back. Now lay it on out. Now walk him over, and put all the pressure up on his head up in here. Tight on that head. All right, come back again. So, basic sort of fundamental on pinning. Now, taking it from there, we're going to advance up on several ways to how to control the pin and control the guy in the pin. One is the shoulder. If you cradle a man, go ahead, and as he's down on his side and you've got him down, but his shoulder is laid down flat somewhat, you have to trap that shoulder in order to get him over. This is simple pinning against guys that don't resist or fight that hard. And that would be to lay down on your stomach, slide way back, get your chest on that shoulder, and then drive your head up and keep your head out, keep the chest trapped, trap the head real tight, and settle him over for a pin. Go back again. So this is a pretty good way of just basically starting on the pin, and that is to slide back and have this guy help by not going so flat that it doesn't work. Then stick your chest right up into it tight, push him with your legs, head out. As you push over, your head's a balance point, then you start to settle down, force that knee across, make sure it's twisted across, go back again. And of course trap his head tight. Now, you got to understand, and maybe you already do, that you just don't pin too many people like that. But you can get some who don't understand the cradle. But the basic pinning is going to be the same. Once you do more advanced skills, you'll still be doing the same thing, that is trapping that shoulder right here. And so you have to start out at the basic idea of being able to trap it. You leave, just kind of tight drills like that to do it. Come back again. Now, the next step in it, if the man is flattened out more, let me have you guys help on this too, because I want to go from one to the other on that. If he's flattened out, you can try to get him, but you can't trap that shoulder. Try to trap it. He stays so low, you can't get it. Now watch Jeff come up to his knees, give him a high jerk up, trap, now stick his chest out, then force him down into the pin. Come back again. Watch these two guys, Brian, do that. Do it on the other side, Brian, so it's the same. Now, Brian, you can see right now his shoulder. Try to slide over and just take him over. Just stay over. Just run up. Oh, straight over. See, you can't get the shoulder trapped. Come back again. But he can pin his knees up under him. Go ahead. Bring your knees up now. Raise up and jerk. Now, see, the shoulder's trapped. Now he forces his way out and just pushes right on over, using that knee. You see him crank that knee over? The knee's trapped. The head's trapped. Come back again one more time. Be ready one more time. So let me make a point. This is some way you can get people, but it's going to be a way we use later on more advanced things that's very common. So he drives a little bit first, then quickly jumps up and snaps. Immediately drives him over. Of course, there'll be no holding. Watch him do it quick right over here on this side. Watch Brad. He pushes a little bit, quick jerk. Push, quick jerk, trap his head. Keep the pressure toward the man's head. Shift a little bit on down. See the knee forced across. Okay, that's good. Now, the jerk is going to come in later. All right, now, let me make a point. Let me make a point using John, and then these guys will do it, and Jeff can show you. He's one of the best that's ever been on this. All right, lay back down. Give me the cradle. One of the toughest things about the cradle is I just said that controlling this knee over here is fundamental to pinning. See him go over when I take his knee over? But that's also the thing that he's going to try not to let me do. He's going to try to make difficult for me. And so, as is true in most other things in wrestling, my legs are much stronger than my arm, and I'm going to use my legs to make this be a more effective thing. And I'm going to get my leg to do the work. If I'm trying to get Johnny over, and I can't get his leg up very well, maybe just a little, but I can get it up enough and get my knee under, now my knee can get him over. If you watch it, see the knee get him over? So one of the absolute best things, all right, let's go, John. Jeff, if you'll lay that same way, put your head here, Brad, cradle this side, Jeff, and I would say, of the many things we're going to show about pinning, this may be the most fundamental, and that is to get your knee under his leg, which is not too hard to do. Lift it up a little, and you're under. Go back down. If it's harder to get up, he may lay on his side and use his legs to push, and get it up and under. Now, once you get it under, this foot does all the pushing, and this foot just keeps up here and pinches up in the air. So pinch, forces across. Once he balances over, then he spreads back out, gets his base with 2 feet, and pins him. Come back again. Now that may seem like that's not that big a thing. This is really very, very good and very tough. So over the years, our wrestlers that were top cradle guys, this is how they always seem to do it the most common way of doing it. Get your knee under his knee. Now, with this foot coming up in the air, often it's like a headstand, but he's going to push off of this toe. Let's go slow with it. He pushes and hops, hold it. This knee is staying up, you see, the pinch. You got enough balance to do it. Now stop. At this point, there's no shoulder trapped. But his head is over here ready to balance him. Now watch, as he pushes a little bit more, he's also jerking hard and forcing that knee. Now you see it settle in a little, then he walks his head out a little more, settles down, he's got the pin. So let me make that point, because if you don't see that point, you may not feel what it is that I'm telling you. Go ahead. And that's this. At first when you take him over, you don't have his shoulder trapped. And that's why he feels pretty good here. But once he starts getting you up a little, then it slips, right? There, it slips. Then your head is there for balance, and to get the final pin, you tend to walk your head out just a little bit there, then settle down hard, put all your weight on him, finish with the pin. Often when that happens, you'll see people, Brian on the cradle, and Coach should be ready too. You'll see our guys do headstands and pin people in here a lot of times. Get that knee under. Trap that knee under. Now, hold him off a little bit, John, so you stay. Put your head on out over there. Put your head, go ahead over, all the way to your head. Well, no, come back in. I meant just going over for the pin without flipping. Just going over, up on your head. Now, what John may do is balance you up, and you may actually be up in the air like this. Like this with this knee trapped. You may be just like that for a little while. Fight it out a little bit. Then try to settle and get your knee down and settle and walk him out. He may be holding you up like that. See? All right, watch him do that one time. I've had guys that actually did headstand pins where, go ahead, Coach, fighting Brad, fighting actually right up in here like that. See him kicking? Go back again. Keep your knee there the whole time. Don't pull your knee off. Just right in there like that. And fighting, and mainly the guy, see him slide, now he's down. See him slide, and shoulder trap, then he's down. Now, I'm not recommending that you go in there and headstand. What I'm saying is that while you're doing it, what I'm showing you to do, he may be holding your legs and pushing them up. It doesn't matter. He may have you right up in the air. You're all right there. Now, what you do have to be good at, and what we practice a lot, is you need to be ready to be flipped out. If he flips you, you go to a back bridge, then you come back and flip back up on top. In fact, you can make a drill out of it. Watch Jeff just do some handstands. Flip and up. Handstand, flip, and up. That's enough. We would do a drill like that, and I do a drill where the guys would just flip, flop. Maybe my thing would be do 5 headstand flips. and then they would be flipping. Go ahead, stand, flip. Maybe just make a drill where you do it on the other side, where you do 2 or 3 in a row. All right, push his hands off, John. Go ahead. Straight over, flip. Straight over your head, flip, back. Straight over, look at him. Go ahead, he's a gymnast anyhow. Okay, that's it. Great, stop. So, you have that knee trap, and then you settle down, and you come in for the pin when the knee is trapped. Now, you saw them doing something that I want to talk about now. We're calling it kipping up. And that is from a position where you take the man over. Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead, flip all the way. You're in this position, which is a common thing in wrestling with the outside cradle. That I want you to feel good here and understand what a good position this is. This is not danger and it's not bad, providing you do a couple of things. When you flip over, you always have his head tight, right into your ribs and clamp tight. You always are pulling his knee tight and clamping it even more if you can. Sometimes you even rotate it into here like this. See that pinch? Now that keeps Brad from doing things like, relax, coach, keep locked, just relax, like getting his head up, sitting up over you, plant that hand over there and put your way up in here. See, stop, that's danger. Come back again. So when you flip to your back, which you're going to do a lot, you clamp tight where there's nowhere for him to go, all right? Now, to get back on top, there's 2 main ways to do it. Both of them are kind of kips, a kip up, like in gym class, where you kip your way up. And that is to, go ahead and do it fast. 1, Jeff, kick, and back up. Do it again. Come over here, turn around so it's in a different angle. Completely around, all right, stop, right there. When he kicks up with this toe, as he gets to a point of pushing off of there, he's going to throw his head back in a high back arch, shift and trap the knee in place, come right across for his pin. Let go completely and move out. Let go completely. Now what he did just then was and the big thing is he kept the knee over here. When he flips over on top, he didn't let the knee go back, that so many do. If you're not pinning in the cradle, that's probably the reason why. So, can we expose him in such a way that they can see that knee? Turn around some more. Way around. Way. All right, now you see his knee is over here. Kick. Ready? Kick. It's still over there. Come back again. All right, so it's over here. As he kicks, watch him. Head out, go, up. It's still over there. Watch Brian, John. Same thing. When you flip them to their backs, as you come up on top, this is a tremendous clamp right here. So that he's going to keep that knee there as he flips, go, and up. Do a quick fast flip. And spring, up, and stop. His head comes up, he's got his balance point, he's tight on the pin, he's got it. Now sometimes, let me in there, sometimes when you come over a man, he's holding you off a little bit. And there, as you flip and come back on top, you may have, hold me off, you may have to turn your hips down hard in there like that and crank that head up, then settle down in before you can do it. There are times when you have to go extra like that, right down in his face, in order to make that work. Notice the knee, still over here. Now, okay, come back over, coach. There's 2 ways to kip up. Let me make that point again. One of them, go ahead and take them out over. One of the ways is 1-footed like you just did. The other is 2-footed where you roll up on your back, you roll up with both legs, and then make a, go ahead coach, kick and up. Some people like one, some people like the other. Go back again. I personally like the one with 1 foot in a little bit better, where, go ahead, you flip up, you plant your foot, plant it, and go ahead, kick up, and make that twist come on top. Right, that's good. That's good. Great. Now when you do that, watch Brian here. Back to the jerk that I mentioned earlier. Flipping to his back. Go ahead. When you do this, a lot of times the bottom man can turn, come with him, can turn down hard. Stop. Not on his back. You don't have him. You didn't hold the knee correctly or whatever. Now immediately make a quick jerk and trap him and take him over. All right, make that part of the hold. So it's actually a practice train thing. Up, over, kip up, jerk, trap him, and go. If the head slips out, you're still right on him. Occasionally that might happen, but not that often. Do that again. Stiff in there. Up, over, jerk, trap with your head, keep the balance of your feet moving. That's good. Very common. Let me make one other point on this stuff. If you master the cradle and the correct master position of the cradle, you should have no fear about being on your side or on your back. I got the balance in this cradle. Other cradles aren't like that. Some of the other cradles could produce some problems. On this cradle, when I have him over here, I am in charge. I've got the balance. This is not danger. Unless I'm loose, and he can start getting his hands and head out and all that. As long as I'm clamped tight, pinched his head tight, watch that. Let me show you what I mean. Come around. You see I got his head? Try to move out of there. Go on, move out of there. No, he can't move. See, I'm breaking his neck off right there. And as long as I have this knee, he can't move anything. In fact, this is a great place to score back points. You don't have to, you can score points over there. You don't even have to come up right away if you really get good at this. Cradle him up, take him over, flip, fight it out some, Brad. Ref's counting in here. Now, once you get yourself settled, flip over on top. Turn, up, finish for the pin. Settle him back. All right? So, the point about it, of course, is the tightness and what makes it all stay tight in there. Now, there's another good technique, back down to the pinning and taking people over. Brian gets set, and you get, Brad gets set, you're going to do this. All right, cradle him up and look if you will, boys. Face him this way, head this way. Sometimes, go ahead, lay out, those guys that are so strong, so tough, so flat, you can't budge them. I know you all have run into this. Try to take him over, but don't go. Don't do the ankle over there, but just try to take him over. He can't stay down. He's fighting, he's low, he won't go. So now you need a little more of a strength and kind of a thing that's so mean and tough that he goes over no matter who he is, and that is to sit to your side, clamp tight, pull the knee right up in your chest, back your butt right on over to your own back, pull him with you, flip him, now kip up on top, and go. Let me show you that from this side. Brad, get over here and cradle right over here. Not that side. No, the other cradle. Lay down, Coach. Lay down. As he sits to his side, get your knee in here close. The key here is to pull the knee with you as you roll to your back. Go ahead. He's pulling. Come back again. Do that same pull. This is very tough, very strong, very, very good for the hard, tough guys. Lay down on your side, Brad. Lay down. As you use your legs to take him over, you're cutting his head under hard, but pulling the knee right to his chest. Pull. He's over, flip right back up on top. You got the pin. Guy named Eddie Eichelberger used to, in fact, I think he may have been one of the first ones to ever do this a long time ago. He was a Granby state champion and NCAA champion. We always used to call it the Eichelberger. One more time on it. Turn around so they can see your knee. Go the other way. Around this way. Hard, right there. Now, as you sit on that side, sometimes it's slow. He struggles. He won't let you go. You sometimes may even have to roll way back hard like that. Sometimes your knee kicks him off a little, gives him a kick like that. Now you're right up on top, and there it is. It's good. It's very tough. So, those are examples of ways to get the guy over that's hard to get over. Let me pause in that now, from that, and go to one final thing on this pinning segment, and that is how to put the Turk or the leg hooks and scissors things into it in a safe way, maybe a little different than some people have thought about, but it's got its merits, but it's not. There are some things about it that I want to warn you about in trouble. And what I'm talking about in particular is this. There are times, lots of them, where you can get in here and get between the legs with your leg. Now, I'm going to show you some things in particular. Let me hook it up. I'll show you some things you can do in here, but I want you to know that it may not be the absolute best or most common thing to do, but it is something that you might want to master. But one point I want to make is this. Is if you try to cradle and Turk a leg, if you lift the leg like this, you're probably going to get in trouble like I am. You're probably going to get flipped over. Make that point, Brad. No, Brian. And I'm going to show you what I think you should be doing with it. If you hook a Turk leg, and you're in a Turk, and you're just coming over to pinning, lay out. No, lay down. And you're trying to Turk too. You get off balance that way, and people flip you. Come back again. And so, the question then is, what do you do? How do you get in there? And why? And what do you do with that leg? If it's just going to be a Turk or a foot between the leg, the foot's basic job should be to push, not to hook. The most important thing is to push toward the man's head. If you push toward his feet, he sits up with you. Push toward his feet. He sits up with you, and you go that way. Now that's trouble. Come out of it. Come on out. And you don't want trouble. So what do? Cradle him up. When you hook in, you may just sort of get it going just a little, then put your foot right back down. And basically push off of that foot, go ahead, till you can settle in, and the foot just keeps stomping it in the ground. Push, 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 and as you do, then settle. Once you get to the pin position, settle down, squeeze. All right, break. Watch Coach Hawkins. When you cradle them, go ahead, and you start going, get down, Brad, play out. I want you to turn so they can see the legs on the camera. Oh, that's good. When you start to step in and push. Push. Now maybe give a bit of a hook if he's not going. Say he's not going. Give him a bit of a hook, up, then push. But you need to have 2 feet on the ground. And you need to be pushing all the time toward the head. As soon as you shift this way, then he's going to push you. Put your hand out on his hips. Push him over, and he's going to come out and catch you. Come back again. All right? So as you push into the turret, it's pushed and settle down on his arm, pinch in and trap it, keep the pressure off. If you feel off balance, get it out of there. You don't need it. Maybe you think you do, but you don't. What you need now is this. Stay there. Is this. You already got it. Now you can pin him without the leg in there. Okay? So that's what I think you should do on there, and that is when you're turking, as you're turking, push to the head and only hook a little, then push. Don't try to hook up and get over balance. However, if it happens, here's what you want to do. One thing about wrestling is always assume the bad things are going to happen and then figure out something that will work against the bad thing. So here's what we like to practice. You're turking in, and the man's pushing you toward his feet. Bad way, that way. Just as you feel like you're off balance, flip to a headstand, run around, back up on top, step, make a drill out of it. Brad, go back a little. You keep, get out. You keep turning back, Brad, each time. All right, go ahead. Push in, flip, come up, go to the scissors. No, go to the scissors, come on. Go to the scissors on the leg. Push, that's trouble. Flip out, come back. Go to the scissors on the leg. Go to him, push him. That's trouble, kick out. Stop. And so, he's now learning when there's trouble. Whenever there's that off balance thing, flip out. And you'll end up with wrestlers that just go all around the mat. Flip, pin. And they look great, but they're also doing the right thing. And it works. It works terrifically. Okay? Now, there are things, but there is another good cradle thing that lots of people know about or know something about, and some people don't. And I'd be remiss in not showing it because it is good. And that is to cradle, go ahead down on your side. And that is to hook this foot in, and as you hook it, let me have it, hook it up, pull it back to this direction, of course, and as you take him over, walk it off his head, and then, come under his head, come up into here, and do what some people call a spladle cradle, or I may have other fancy names for it. All right, get that way. John, you do that on Brian. Cradle him up. Go ahead down with it. Now come on up. He hooks the foot, and as he hooks it in, he starts pulling it that way and falls off the man's head. As he falls off, he puts his foot down on the mat and gets his belly up under the man's head. Get under it even more. And arch your back to break his neck off. And just keep pinching tight right there. Some guys who are scissors men and really feel comfortable, which I don't think there are too many of you, like to even let go and put their head under. I'm not for that because they tend to get out when you do it. All right, Coach Hawkins, come out there and do that. So when you cradle, turn around a little so they can see right there. As you hook the foot, you pull it back over your own leg, go ahead over it, and then you back over off his head. This foot comes down and pulls that heel. This leg lifts up, and the big thing is to get under his head, arch your back up in here, of course. He's in big trouble, and pin. Come back again. And it's good. It's good, and it's effective. It isn't that easy to get on that many people, but it is effective. Okay? One other idea about legs, about the use of the leg. Let me use Brian. and turn and face you back to the camera. There is, all right, go ahead and lay down. There are people who just think that every single time they cradle, lay flat. Every time they cradle, every single time, I see hundreds of them do it, they want to go behind this leg, and that seems to be the only thing that they want to do, because for some reason this looks so great, and once you get it, the one time you may get it in your whole wrestling career, everybody talks about it. And so, what I see is most people doing this, and most of them do not ever get it. I'd say 99.99%, you just can't get it on somebody, hardly ever. And maybe you do, but I'm saying generally, wrestlers can't get it. You can't get it on very tough guys, I know that. And so I would recommend not messing with it much and doing the things that we taught about. Or I would say maybe try it like this. And it's a little bit of a variation, and that is to get some back points is to, don't let me get under. Don't let me get under. Okay, that'll really know that first. Just don't let me get under. And then hook it here, and hook it like this, and just back over with it, and score some backs here by pulling that foot down and scoring them. So then slip back on top, start jerking, trapping, and pinning. How about demonstrating that one time? You may not actually even be in a pinhold, or you may not pin them. Turn so they can see that foot hook. Go back that way, even more. So you step over and hook that heel, and then you fall to your back and keep that pinched down and hard. He'll kick and he'll fight. He'll probably get that foot out of there. Let it out. Let the foot out. Turn it up on top, and then make your pinhold work there. That's good. And it's got its place in the cradle. Getting behind it's hard, and I would say that you might not have that much luck there. Let me just make a brief review on this sequence, and we're going to show some examples at the end of this. But let me say that trapping the knee is the big thing, along with cracking the head tight. This combination of pinching and controlling tight is really what makes pinning in the cradle work, and forcing that knee across and over. I would review this segment several times, because getting the cradle is one thing, but pinning it's the most important. We'll show you some examples, and we'll come back with some other techniques. Now, on this final segment, I'd like to show you some tricks and a few little things that are excellent to use in the cradle and actually fundamental, because what a lot of people do is they get better in wrestling, learn how to do some counters, and they won't go over very easy. I've got some ways to flip people around and get them to their back that are very effective, and then a couple of other tricks to show you ways to get cradle from the single defense, and then finally there are counters to the cradle, and there is one in particular, one counter that can give you trouble. I'm going to show you how to counter that counter and make it a real terrific way to get them in the cradle. And your fans will like it, you'll like it, and it will be very effective. Okay, first, let me have some wrestlers out here to help me. When you're trying to get the cradle, or go ahead and just let's feed him. When you get the cradle and you're not meeting up with a lot of resistance, and maybe he was surprised, you often can pull the head in, just knock them down, take them over, and start working your pin stuff. Come back again. But a lot of people are much more difficult than that to get, and very hard to get off their hands. And as you start trying to drive them down, they stay up. They simply don't go over. You see him put his hand out and brace, and they don't go over. And so what I want to show you is a way to sit through and get them. If you guys will walk around in a circle, no, the other way, this way, so they can see. Come on up with it. Come on up first. No, all the way out. Come up to your knees. When the man is sitting in this kind of a position, you do something that we call the Michelle sit-through. And a fellow named Steve Michelle was a Granby wrestler from a ways back that was fantastic with this, and so it was named after him. And what the sit-through is you're going to sit to your side, and as you do, let your toe come to the outside. Move that foot out of the way a little bit. And you see that toe's on the outside, and that foot, of course, really will be up. And you're tight on the knee, and you're crunching and bending his head under, and you're going to go back with a high lift. And as you start to flip, you're going to kick him up. And as you kick him, you're going to come back, kip up, and do your pinning position like we've already trained and done some work on in there. This is called the Michelle sit-through. A couple of the key ingredients are, as you sit, you want to trap that toe on the outside. Come back again. Don't completely sit, but let's start. The other key is to pull the knee tight and don't slide. Go ahead. Slide. Do not slide. You slide off. Don't do this. Go ahead. Keep your lock up. Keep your lock. Just sit and slide real loose. Stop it. Don't slide back like this where the man can pull. Let me have you, Brad. The man can pull his hand out and cause trouble here. Or pull his hand out and get it in here and cause trouble. And all kinds of other things. You don't want to do that. So as you sit, everything's tight like it has been all along. You don't sit loose. The other thing as you sit, go ahead, is to make sure you trap the toe. If you don't trap the toe, there's some potential, get it out of there, Hawk, there's some potential to be stepped over. Go ahead and get him. And for the man to stretch out in here, let him catch you, coach, and stretch out and get you. Come back again. And so, I've introduced the dangers, but the dangers are really not that realistic because they just don't happen if you do it correctly and when you do it correctly. So go ahead and do it fast. Sit through, flip, kick, up on top. Now one of the things about that, if Brian can come out here too, let me have him first and then I'll have him show you. When you sit, you pull, give me some leg resistance, you pull that knee to you tight and you've got that toe in there. A lot of times right here, they try to step over you. He tries to step over, and that makes it easier. Then I'm going to kick him. Here's what you do. You kick him. Then you plant that foot. Then you're up and on top. Come back again. So you can see, watch him do that. Sideways like this, so you can see that toe. As you cradle the man and sit, go ahead and sit. Here, you're actually pulling him right on top of you and lifting right up with that toe and kicking. Then plant, kip up on top. Come back again. All right, now let's show that again. One thing about this, come back again. Sometimes certain wrestlers, go ahead and sit, coach. Certain wrestlers actually like to go ahead and when they pull, go ahead and pull, flip, and then give them a kick, and then come right back up. Now kip up on and make your pin, but come back again. But there's some of my wrestlers that like to have this foot trap instead. They like it like that. I don't. I like the other better, but they like this better. Then as they fall back, they kick with that foot and kick off and come on top. I prefer the left. They prefer the right. But let me make a point about setting that foot in so you can do it right. As you sit it through, you bring it right up, and it's a pinch. Your leg's not laid down, it's up, and it's pinched. So it's tight in there, all right? Come back again. Now, some ways and places to do it. You can do it virtually everywhere. I would probably say, Brad, you can do it this time. You guys get ready over here. I would say, don't even get the cradle, referee's position. I would say we sit through virtually every time. Pressure and cradle, sit through. You're doing it, go ahead. Pressure and cradle, sit through right away. Flip, come back, all right? Clear out over here. Spinning drill, ankle drill. He gives you the cradle. Watch him sit right through when he takes it, all in one. Almost every time. Come back again. Over here. Pick the knee. Get in referee's position. Just pick the knee out to the side. Go ahead and pick it out to the side. Up. Go ahead. All in one. Go and flip him and go. From standing, you're going to jump up and lift and do a bandit in the cradle. Go ahead. He cradles him, takes him, and go. So that, in effect, and with these guys, the way they're going to do it, virtually every time they get the cradle on a guy that's stiff and not going over, virtually every time, they're going. Stay up and really resist me. I'm not going to flip. I'm just showing. As I come up to here and they go, every time, they're going. They're taking them virtually every time. And so, master it because it's good. Now, let me make one point. There's struggles in here. You could be taking a national champion over here. In fact, there's years where in the NCAA tournament one time, in the semifinals of the Nationals, 5 number 1 seeds were pinned with the outside cradle in one tournament in 1 year at the same time. So that means half of the guys that were ranked number 1 in America got pinned with this hold. Not the Michelle sit-through per se, but the cradle. And so you're going to get great wrestlers in here because the balanced position of being in here and the strength of being in here, the wrestlers, is important. And so you're going to catch cradles on great wrestlers. There's no question about it. Well, if you catch champion wrestlers in here, district or region or state type guys or national guys, this is going to be a struggle. They're really going to be hard and tough. And so you've got to take this guy's head and you've got to put his chin in his chest hard. You've got to take this guy's knee and you've got to pull it up as hard as it will go. So if I have Brian and his head's up and I got my cradle and I start to take him, he won't go there. He'll stay still, don't go. Keep your head up hard, see, he won't go. But if I get out on that head and I turn it under, he is going to go. And so, watch these guys do that. Get out here like this, Red. Let out. I want them to see the head. Walk around so they can see the head. All right, stay up, coach, and don't go. All right, sit. Don't go. Don't go. Don't go. Walk it. A lot of times it's like that. So when you cradle, right here, go ahead, and you're going to do the Michelle sit-through, you take his head as you sit. His head's got to go under. You pull him right on top of you. And flip, he goes. It's very tough. Now, one point that I left out in one of my other segments about the cradle, and that is, when you go to your back, go to your side, when you cradle somebody and you go to the position that you're going to kip up from, sometimes the guys can get their head up over your chest and kind of up in the air and try to put their hand across your back and keep your head up and then let me get on top, so like that. And so that kind of a guy, you want to take your knee and scrape right down against his head to get him down low, then turn up on top and get him. It's common. Coach Hawkins has come in and do that. So when you have him in the cradle, you're down on the side. Watch him scrape that nose back. He calls it the kick start. Kick starts him, kind of pulls him back down. It doesn't hurt him. I don't mean that it does. It's just a way that you get that head up and you get it back down so that it's in a position where you can actually do something. Now, another thing that happens. Now, I'll show this with Brad, and that is when you cradle people, lay down, Brad, they can block you with their hands. It's very common. They'll all do that. It's tough. If they hit the guy over, he won't go. And so here's a technique for handling those kind of guys. Take this right knee and turn sideways and put this right knee and jam his hands up, and then walk up with that foot, then set it in, spread it out, come across for your pin. And so he's got the cradle, you got the cradle, and he's blocking you off. And you can't get it over. You see, he's really pin on your hips and everything. You can't get it over. So you come up that little pin, then trap it up. So you're trapping it right under it. And then, of course, there's the cradle. The other thing you can do with that is if you can't knock those hands off, which is possible, then just do a high flip and hold him over for back points. Flip, hold him tight, get some back points. If you can work your way back on top, do it. If not, just score some backs, 2 or 3 backs, and from there, control the position. So that can be something that can bother you or give you some problems. Now, a couple of other tricks. Single defense, ways to cradle. Watch Coach Hawkins. Jeff, man has a single on him. No, just a regular single. And walk on around where they can see Brad better. Lock up, Brad. And the man brings his knee up here and steps up. As he steps up, Jeff is going to catch the back of the knee, and then he's going to sit that knee through and pull to himself and plant his hand back behind him. As he flips on top, there's the cradle. Come back again. A couple of key ingredients here on that. Do that again. When you reach to pick that knee, you pull it so his head gets trapped. Pull it, and you sit. But as you sit, you've got to bring this hand out and plant it behind you. Go back again, one more time. If you don't plant it behind you, go ahead, plant it behind you, then you're all in trouble here in your car. So come back again. So as you flip and come out, go watch him quickly plant that hand up, cradle. Terrific little trick right there to get the cradle. All right, now another technique, watch Brian on this one, he's got that. Another technique is when they single you to do a roll through. Tight around the waist, and as you roll through, this arm is going around deep, and you're going to fall to your side, your head's going to fall through, you're going to pull him up towards your butt, keep the leg for the cradle, and come across, then there's the cradle. So when you do it, let me just give one pointer on it, and then I'll let him do it fast. When you do it, he's got tight single, hold on tight and really fight it out. As you come under here, the big thing to do is to pull it up to his head. Plant your hand. Now you can see, of course, the head's near the knee. I'm up. There's my cradle. Let me do that one more time, Brian. Good trick. Notice that. Tight on this. You're fighting him in here. This knee will probably be down, because if it's up, I could do the other pick. But it's down, he's fighting down, and you're crossing here tight. See, I come in deep. Now as I flip him, I pull tight there, plant my hand, come up to my knees, and cradle. Tough, good little trick. Get my thing off here. Good little trick, way to do it. Now, so, there's another example of a way to get the cradle. All right, now, there is a counter that can give you trouble. There is a counter that can give you some problems. And watch these guys. If you'll start off with it, Brian, right here first. If you cradle your man, and let's walk around a little bit so you're at the back, Brian. And John can reach his hand through here, turn this way, come on top of you, plant that hand, and turn in here. He can windmill out or cradle counter out and get you in trouble. Come back again. In fact, he can whip you there. And so, when you're in this position, here you've got to be conscious of it. The first thing you want to do is stay so tight toward the head, bring your head up and take him tight. You don't let that happen. In fact, always take him over his head. Can you take him over his head? Can you? Go ahead, can you? Can you take him over? Do it. If he can go over his head, always take him. You're going to like this so much, you're going to think you want to do this as the main thing. Don't. The only time that you're going to do this roll-through trick that I'm going to show you now is when the man sits, let me have you. I will go slow. He sits against you and puts his hip down against you and tries to come around to here. That's the only time you're going to do it, when he makes you do it. Come on back up. So what is it? Watch him do it once. Go ahead and sit, John. Sit, roll through, up, on top. Come back again. So roll through with the cradle. One basic criteria you need to understand. Always cradle toward the head. Make him commit to sit in the cradle, the counter. Make him commit to sit in the counter. If he fights so hard that he can counter you, then it's easy to shift, put your head to his hip bone, drive him to his butt, bridge, and roll through. Otherwise, don't do this. Because if you cradle, watch Coach Hawkins, Brad, if you cradle, and if you try to invite the roll through by leaning this way, he may grab your leg, under, and different things, and he may actually get you. So never invite the roll through. All right, let's go back again. Always put pressure toward his head as he sits against you. Let me show the techniques. Go back up a little. Slide up a little. Your head shifts down to his hip, and you push him to his butt. Push him to his butt. Push. See, he's still here. He hasn't gotten out of there yet. Now, a quick high flipping bridge. Flip. Keep the knee on this side, right there, and come up in the kip to the pin. Watch it again. Turn around the other way completely. Now here's what most people will do when they first start. Sit against him, coach. Sit against him. They'll keep their head here. They'll get down to here. Go on start. And they'll pull that man right across their face and break their noses and ears, and they'll still kind of get through, but it isn't a whole lot of fun. Come back again. And it isn't going to work too good. And so make sure the technique is this. Your head may be up here going this way. Go that way hard. Go that way hard. But when you go, you shift and bear it right in the hip. Pushing, high bridge, roll through, up on top. Most of my guys, when they do it good, John, show one, don't touch their head. They rarely touch their head. And so, as he bridges through, pushing to his butt, here, do it again. Now this time, try not to touch your head, just so we can show him that. So keep all the push on the man. As he sits against you, push up on the man and roll through. That's how you want to do it. And so that's the counter. It's very effective and very good. Hard, hard, hard to the head. Go. One effective way to do it, and I'll get John to demonstrate it because you're going to see him in his match doing that, and that is from the front headlock. When you run the front headlock, sometimes in Cradle the man, they start sitting up against you hard, fight it out like a real match, and then you can turn and roll through right from the front headlock. He's pinned several guys in there like that, and you'll see it on the tape, him doing it. And so the roll through then is the counter for the man countering you. And so in the Cradle, in the scheme of things, I would counter the Cradle, teach the boys to counter, but make sure you learn the counter. Now, one safety factor and safety point. When I roll through with John as a team and as your partner, if I roll through with John and his ankles like that, obviously there's some danger to this ankle. Now, you got to understand, if his foot's like this, I don't need to roll through. I would be going to his head. You wouldn't even roll through that foot there. You'd only roll through if he's shifting up against you, and he's coming up this way. Come back again. So in the practice room and everything, make sure, coaches and wrestlers, that you don't hurt your partner by trying to roll through like that and break his ankle. Instead, he shifts against it. There's the roll through, and there's your chance to make things work. Okay? Now, the Cradle is a great hold. I think it's one of wrestling's greatest holds. We love it. I know there's lots of people that love it. But I think that maybe some of the things that we've shown you in this tape will make you a better Cradle person. I know that the drills will get you to get the Cradles, and the pinning techniques will work. I know they work effectively. I've seen NCAA champions pin with it. You're going to see some in this tape that were pinned with it or had back points scored or lost national titles, and it's common throughout wrestling. But several of the key things and elements that I've been talking about have to be there, and the tightness in the head and on the shoulder and trapping the knee and all those different things. Remember, the Turk is the counterpart or the sort of brother hold for this hold. The tape, probably the two tapes really should run together, meaning you should have one and the other in order to see how the Cradle and the Turk work together. That's tape 9. There are a number of other videos that I've referred to, maybe certain holds that we've done. And there are a number of techniques on there that you may be interested in also. And the other thing is that we do have wrestling camps in the summer. They're very popular. A lot of people come and learn some of these techniques. And the techniques you see on the tapes are the techniques that we teach at the camp, in addition to many others that will help you in wrestling. So I know that this is going to help you. Good luck in your wrestling. Cradle them, be Cradle crazy, and pin some boys. Now, there is a possibility of getting in some trouble with the Cradle. It could be trouble that you really get in and can't get out of, but I think I can show you something that can get you out of trouble most of the time if you end up getting this man on top of you in the Cradle. Let me show you what to do. it's a possibility as you cradle that you may go, and as you're sitting through or dropping to your side, you may get loose enough in here that the man can actually step over and maybe get you right in here in some real danger in here. Maybe even pull his hand out and even make it more dangerous. The technique or trick for getting out here is to do a bridge as hard as you can and pulling his head under as much as you can, and simply do a high back bridge and pull him right up on top of you and come out and kick over on top like you have been taught or will be seeing throughout the tape. Now, understand that this is risk. And occasionally, if you're learning the cradle or doing it incorrectly, you may have to use this to get yourself out of trouble. Go ahead and sit back in and get in some trouble. And Jeff, go ahead and step right in here. Right here, you should go right to a back bridge, high bridge, pull him up on top of him, turn, come up on top. There is, come back, we're going to do it one more time. There is also, do that same side view, if you will, Brad, over in here. There is also, go ahead and lay on in there, some possibility when he steps over of you taking your leg up in here and kicking up high on that thigh and bridging and pulling yourself up and out of trouble. Okay, come on back on over. So I would recommend that you get this technique in, because in the course of learning the cradle and learning any hold, you can do it incorrectly and get yourself in trouble. There's one other trouble spot that I see a lot of. I train pretty hard to try to keep our wrestlers from doing it, but I see a lot of it all in wrestling, and that is the idea that when you have a single, it's also a great time to get a cradle. And this is not necessarily the case. In fact, it's almost always not the case. And even when it's inviting, even when the head's in what looks to be a great position, it rarely works, because as I release and unlock my hands, Brad is going to brace up, head up, going to pull that leg out of there, and I'm going to lose him. Do it a little quick this time as I go for it, and then I'm going to lose him, and it's going to be trouble. And generally speaking, I would recommend never unlock your hands on the single to go for a cradle for any reason. But there is a technique that we train and use that I really like, especially for certain of the guys that can handle themselves in here, and it's called, we always called it a throw-through, but it's putting pressure down in this way and pulling the man around so he puts weight forward, then coming to the clamp and the cradle. Now, I'd say if you could train on that, Jeff, you want to demonstrate that for us? If you could train on that and get a feel for that, I'd recommend that as a good thing to do. Go ahead, Coach, give him a little throw-through down, cradle, and of course you can take him right on over and into the pin. One thing about that, what you're attempting to do when you do that is pressure, but also pulling him around in such a way that he comes forward. If he doesn't come around, if he won't come in that direction, then you're into other finishes on the single, which you can see on different tapes. And so my strong recommendation is don't cradle from the single, but if you want one here, and you'll see some examples of it in the tape, don't do it unless you can get that man coming forward and driving some weight in there, and then you have an opportunity to jump. And of course you can then take them and flip them back, etc. So look for some examples of this on the tape.